Today we're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, how to create the life that you desire, how a lot of us make mistakes, and how we set out to, to both envision and to implement the life that we really desire. And I'm going to give you some really helpful tips that have worked for me, for my clients, and I've been doing my research on this for the last 15, 20 years. And some call me a very lucky person because my life has been I dream something up and I go after it. And I just want to share the tricks with you because it's not just about luck, even though I do believe that there's, destiny does help us. So without much ado, let's get started. The very important thing to remember is that, we all have some goals in our life and we all have a certain vision for our life. And obviously that if just thinking about what you want and trying to get there worked, everyone would be living their dream life. But something, between making your resolutions on New Year's or setting your goals, and life happens and you really don't end up getting where you desire. Most of the people that I meet are unhappy about at least some aspect of their life, whether it's their weight, health, relationships, career, anything. So if you've set any goals this year, for New Year's resolutions, and you're already feeling a little bit defeated, don't, because I'm going to give you some really good tips and some pointers as to what you could change. So there are 3 mistakes that I find that people always make about how they go about creating their dream life and how they go about transformations. First of all, we only think about transformations as these big global things, right? And while that's very important to set your, big goals, real transformations happen within your minute little things in your day-to-day. So the little habits and the little things that you do every day really end up comprising the way you live your life. So, if you want to be, a rock star and you're at home on a daily basis, sitting in front of your computer and researching things, you're not going to get there, right? You have to incrementally start doing things in a direction of becoming a rock star. You're not going to make that leap from one day to another, right? So it's making really, grandiose decisions without thinking about the in-between steps. It's also the fact that we make our goals very external to ourselves, right? So we think about these changes as something that I want to change in my external circumstances. And oftentimes that really disempowers us, right? Because we're here and that unattainable goal is over there. And so it's really difficult for us to reach that goal if we think of it as outside of us. And I'm going to show you how to actually internalize it so that it doesn't become so external to you. And the third mistake that I see people making all the time is focusing on the final outcome. I mean, the whole definition of goals is that it's the final outcome. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to meet the guy. I want to have that coveted job. But the thing is that we all know I think most of us have learned that it's not about the final goal, it's about the journey. And we forget that the journey is what really comprises our life. And if we're only thinking about our final goal, even if we do get there, we're not going to be happy, because if we forget about what truly makes us happy is the journey. So those are the 3 mistakes that I see. Like I said, making it too external, making it, really outside of our reach, making it too big without thinking about the small things, and really, just without trying to bring it back to your true desires. Like, what is it that I really want? A lot of times I see people saying like, oh, I really want to get to this specific place in my life. But when I ask them why, or, you know, where did that goal come from, they have no idea. So a lot of times it's something that, you know, that you think you want to get because society makes us think that we want to be, you know, whatever, a successful career person, or if we want to be, you know, married and coupled. And actually, you know, research shows that there are so many different ways to be happy, but we have very specific visions of what we think we need to get happy. So a lot of times we don't even know what we want, right? So those are the mistakes. And now we're going to shift into what we can do to make it different, right? So if you have made New Year's resolutions, as you're watching this video, or if you're going to be watching the recording, just write down one thing that you really desire. Just, you know, think about that one specific goal that you really want to accomplish this year, and really set an intention that by the end of this webinar, you're going to get much closer to fulfilling it than you were before. So when you think of this goal, whatever it may be, try to see it as, you know, what is the big goal, right? So let's make it really simple. Let's say you're trying to, whatever, lose 30 pounds, okay? I don't like those goals, but I'm gonna focus on because it's really easy to explain. So then you're gonna say, okay, in order to lose 30 pounds, we have to like break it down, right? What are going to be the little steps, right? And then we're gonna really, really try to break it down. Okay, so if I'm going to lose 30 pounds, I might have to eat healthier. I might have to do some kind of physical activity. I might have to do some stress management. And, you know, if we're working together, I'd really go beyond these typical things. So, for example, a lot of times weight is associated also to how we feel about ourselves or self-confidence. So improving your self-confidence, your sexual well-being and weight are really connected. So looking at that, you know, connection, and lots of other things. So like thinking about everything that you would have to do to get to that goal. And then within each of those activities, think about what really would get you excited about waking up every morning and really doing that something different so that you can get to this goal. What that means is that, so for example, if you're trying to lose those 30 pounds and you know you're gonna eat healthier, if you think about like, oh, I have to diet, and oh my God, I have to stop eating the, you know, hamburgers, and that's gonna be a lot of stress on you, right? So instead, I encourage everyone to look at the opposite. Like, what can I eat that's healthy for me and that could help me feel healthier and get me closer to my goal of losing those 30 pounds? So thinking about the delicious tropical fruits that can help your digestion and improve your metabolism, and, you know, waking up in the morning and savoring that fresh water, you know, flavored water with lemon and mint, you know, so really transforming it from an obligation to a pleasurable activity. And this is where we get to the main, I want to say, innovation that I've put into everything that I do with my clients and in my journeys. It's pleasure. So we really, really, really underestimate the importance of pleasure in our life. And we think about it, it's like most people start with this, right? You know, once I do this, 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 and this, then I will have time to enjoy myself. Then I will give the permission to, you know, do the following, whatever, frivolous things to make myself feel better. Now, let me tell you something. Pleasure has many, but I'll give you two really key roles in transformations, habit change, and in manifesting the life that you want, as well as in making us extremely healthy and a physical and mental on a physical and mental well-being. So let me start with the first part. So how can pleasure help us change our behaviors? So if you know anything about how our bodies work, and this is something I really encourage my clients to look at, is like, the more we know ourselves, this whole concept of knowing thyself, the more you know yourself, the more you're gonna know how to work with your body instead of against your body to help it take you to the places that you desire. So if you're stuck in an unhealthy habit, right, that is linked to this goal that you're never able to accomplish, quit smoking, lose those pounds, find that job, whatever it is. So you identify which habit it is. And then we all know habits are like very difficult to break. Why is that? Because they are at a very they happen at a very subconscious level, right? They're wired into our whole system, and both in our wiring of the neural wiring as well as in our body memory. So the reason that our body does that is so that it can actually become very efficient. So it learns a behavior and then it makes it automatic. It learns a behavior and it makes it automatic. That makes our body, it's our way of survival. It's our way of, pursuing the behaviors that will keep us well. That's why our body makes this efficient way of making habits very sticky. So how do we unstick those habits? Once you identify what a habit that is really nasty, let's say, not even nasty, but it's just keeping you stuck. Let's say you come home after work every day and you drink that glass of wine, and it makes you feel good, but in reality, that glass of wine makes you hungrier, so you end up eating more. It interferes with your sleep. It's just not something that you want to do. Okay, so how do we get rid of the habit? First of all, you can't get rid of a habit. You have to tap into the habit and change the behavior. But first you have to identify what triggers this. When you find what triggers your habit, you say, okay, maybe it's this anxiety that I felt at work, or maybe it's me being tired. So how do I now, instead of drinking wine, what can I do to relieve that anxiety? What's hiding deeper? Like, what is my true desire when I pick up that glass of wine? Well, guess what? I found my substitute. It's my kombuchas, because I realized that what I'm craving on a superficial level, right? I'm craving that bubbly texture in my mouth, and I'm craving this glass. It just makes me feel more sophisticated. And guess what? After a while, the kombucha has replaced that habit of drinking wine. Also because I associate it to pleasure. So I make sure that all of the different senses, and we talk a lot about senses in our work, in the work that we do together, it's like the smell has to be nice, the look, the aesthetics has to be good, so that this glass really replaces that other habit that you had. The other thing is that you might identify that you are actually needing a massage instead of that glass of wine because you're still stressed out. Or maybe you are craving a deep conversation with a friend, so you pick up your phone and call them, right? So, and then once you identify the new habit, you start playing around with new habits. So once you identify what these new things that you can substitute instead of the habit that you want to change, is you start pairing it with pleasure. So like I said, you can change the environment to make it more pleasurable, but you can also find the things that make you excited. So for example, if you're in that, let's go back to that example of losing the 30 pounds. One of the things you have to do is start moving more, exercising more. But if the thought of going to the gym makes you cringe, which it makes me cringe, you start looking, what are the other options? Maybe I go to a dance class that makes me really excited. Sandra here is watching us. Like we've started doing the bachata classes together, and it's like, you know what? It doesn't even feel like a workout. It feels like just being out and having fun with your friends, and it feels extremely good. And so that's what I want to talk about. So when you incorporate a habit that you inherently enjoy already, it's going to be much easier for your body to integrate it into your day-to-day. Not only that, and now we get to the next part, why is pleasure important in and of itself, not just as a habit change tool, but in and of itself, pleasure does the following. It does three incredible things. And I didn't know this, but this is unknown knowledge. Pleasure really refers to all the feel-good hormones that your body releases when you do something that is good for you or that feels good, right? So dopamines, endorphins, serotonin, all of those hormones that we crave, because our body was actually set back in the days when we were living, it's like when we were projected in a certain way, our body was meant to experience a certain level of excitement and pleasure, right? And so our body craves those hormones. And when we fulfill a certain behavior that makes us feel good, and your body releases all that punch of feel-good hormones, what happens is your immune system is boosted by like 30%. This is science. I can share some really incredible studies that show this. Your cellular repair capacity improves. So, your skin, old cells drop and the new cells start growing. That ability is improved dramatically. Your ability to relax and go into, from the activated sympathetic system to really this relaxation and release is activated. And guess what? To me, that's the number one killer in our world is our stress. Because when your body is in the fight or flight mode, it can't digest properly, it can't sleep properly, its immune system is not working because you're in a war zone. You always have to run away from something, right? That's how our body sees it. And so when you're in that stress, your body is half of its functions are not working, let alone, and this ties into pleasure again, let alone to libido, sexuality, and feeling good. So when you are in stress, do you think you can get aroused? No, you cannot, because those are actually mutually exclusive things. So again, if you do anything that makes you feel good, even if it's watching a funny movie, even if it's just like starting laughing out loud with no reason, you're actually like drinking an elixir of feel good hormones, which is moving your chemistry, which is changing your chemistry, and it's improving all of those functions in your body, and it's making you also like create that habit that you were trying to. So it's a multiple number of functions, right? So it's the pleasure is good in and of itself, and it helps you really, really integrate those habits that you are unable to change for the last, I don't know how many years, right? So that's a big thing. And so going back to our resolutions. So really important, again, going from that macro level of I want to be in a mansion on the beach in this beautiful place, like from that macro level, you have to go down to not only these little habits that are keeping you stuck in that tiny little house, unhealthy, with a negative attitude on life and with all those things. You have to identify those habits, and then you apply these principles of pleasure and of experimenting with different types of behaviors instead of like trying to cut the habits. So that's on habits. Now, I've worked my whole, for the last, 20 years, I've worked with healthy living and public health, and I worked in like really big institutions on populational level changes, right? So I used to work with the Ministry of Health in Brazil on behavioral change communication strategies for helping people, for preventing HIV/AIDS, basically, right? So for helping people understand the importance of using condoms to prevent HIV/AIDS or other sexually transmitted diseases. Why am I sharing this? Because in public health, and I don't know why this is not used elsewhere, but in public health, they use something really powerful, which is, you know how we do marketing, right? So let's say there's this like random thing that, you need to buy this. There's this product that no one really needs, but they make you really desire it. And like, without this product, you can't really get the women that you want. And without this product, you can't. So they connect, they make something that's desirable into a need, right? That's basic marketing. Well, in public health, we do the opposite. We take something that people really need to do, like using condoms, and most of them don't really want to use the condom. And we say, how do we make this behavior desirable? So it's the opposite. You see, we go from something that needs to be done to something that is exciting. And so the way we did it is we would sit down with all these focus groups, and we would, actually, that was my first, my first assignment as an intern in Brazil, to go buy all kinds of like sexually related products, the sex products like condoms and lubricants. And then we had to test them with all of our focus group participants and ask them like, what don't you like about this? Why don't you use it? What makes it difficult? And when you ask these questions, after a while, you see trends like, oh, maybe people don't like the smell, or maybe the people don't, it's too thick, so it reduces the sensitivity, right? And so the end result of all of this information you get, some really, really, really interesting information, by the way, you then go to the point where you create another product, right? That's going to be pleasurable to the person. And that's going to be really easy for them to find. So in this case, we ended up creating these, I don't know, like strawberry flavored condoms, and we made them available in the bathrooms in people's offices, because that was the time when they most needed to get it. Don't ask me why, but the point is, you have to think about yourself in those terms too. Like we have to trick our body into making what we need to change really easy to access, right? And enjoyable. So if I know my Achilles heel and losing weight is those unhealthy snacks, I just don't buy them. Or if it's actually not having the right food at the right time, and then I end up gorging on my dinner, then I need to make sure that I have those snacks available, the healthy snacks available, and in little packs, and they're always available in my bag, in my car, and in other places. So those are really important principles. So applying these principles from public health into our day-to-day life. So that's why I've created the whole pleasurable wellness methodology, because that's what's used in this like multi-million-dollar project in public health, and I don't know why it's not used in helping people change their behavior. So after doing all this research for years, then I was kind of tired of working with healthy living and wellness, and then I started personally delving into manifestation and spiritual development, right? And I started taking all these courses on how to manifest the life that I desire, and it's mostly like focused on very, very spiritual concepts, and very, very much about like creating your vision. And after studying with like some of the greatest teachers, I realized that what I do is exactly the same, because how do you manifest the life that you desire? It's not just visualizing something. So it's really important to visualize something, right? So I want to visualize myself in that beautiful house on the beach with that gorgeous man, and in these beautiful clothes, and I don't know how much money in my bank account. Like, the visualization aspect is extremely important. But if you visualize that and you feel like shit sitting in your little old home and without the man, and you're crying every day, you'll never get there. It'll just stay exactly that, like this vision that you never get to. But if you start getting yourself really excited about that vision, and you really feel it with your entire body, so you create this pleasurable wellness. Again, it's related to pleasurable wellness. It's like a miracle ingredient that I found. If you really can create that punch of feel-good hormones and associate it to that vision, then all of a sudden, that's what really pulls you in the direction of that dream life. And you don't even have to do anything. You just change your chemistry, you change your vibration, you change your frequency, and you simply attract that life into your reality. It's magical. I'll tell you my example. 15 years ago, I was working at the World Bank, and I was, I had ended it was like a terribly ended a relationship. I was overworked, stressed, health problems. But I started traveling to Brazil for work, and I just loved the country. So I was like, I don't know, I just felt good in Brazil, And on one of my trips, I was traveling to São Paulo, but then I decided it was my birthday weekend, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna stay in Brazil, or in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm gonna just spend a weekend, my birthday weekend, and celebrate it. And I had the best weekend ever. You can imagine, dancing and all the caipirinhas and the beach. It was just magical, right? And with my last afternoon, I just clearly remember it as now. I'm walking on the sidewalk, on the ciclovia in Ipanema, and I just feeling this energy. I said to myself, I'm gonna live here. And I didn't tell myself like, oh, I will finish my contract at the World Bank and then I will come find a job here, or, oh, I will need to make enough money to make it viable for me to, no. I did it in a very kind of, just like in a very immature kind of way, right? You would say this, like I did it without thinking about whether it was possible or not. I just said, I'm gonna live here. I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. I didn't know, like how it would work in a country where I don't have a visa. I had no idea. I just made that plan and I felt it. I really allowed all of that energy to be absorbed in my body. That was May 2009. Guess what? In October of the same year, I get a phone call as I'm sitting in the World Bank, working in it's my second year of this really good contract that I had that would have allowed me to become staff at the World Bank probably. I'm sitting there and I get a phone call from this guy I did an internship with a while ago. And he's like, Bella, are you sitting down? I was like, yes. Like, I know you like Brazil. If you want to live in Brazil, in 10 days, you have to be in São Paulo to start this project, like tuberculosis prevention in prisons and whatever. I didn't even hear what the project was about. I literally just said yes. I hung up the phone. I quit my job. I packed just 2 bags and then the rest I just sold. I didn't even have a goodbye party. I just left. Literally everything started falling into place. I arrived in São Paulo, even though it was in Rio. I arrived in São Paulo. The next weekend I met my now ex-husband, who moved me to, who made it possible for me to move to Rio. And I had the most magical 10 years in Rio, where I created this company, Body Wellness, where I had my first child, where I had a beautiful relationship, where I experienced incredible things. And it's because I had that vision, but more than the vision, I was able to transform my inner state to really make it impossible for the universe not to fulfill my desire. So that's really, you see how, that's why for me, when I work with people, I can't distinguish between healthy living habits and how you feel from manifesting the life that you desire, because to me it's it's the continuum of the same journey. When you take care of your health and well-being in this way of coming from within, when you do the things that really feel good, that's the journey to transforming your life and aligning with the things, with the people, with the jobs, with the situations that really resonate with who you are, right? It's each time becoming more and more authentically yourself. So with this, I hope you got some really interesting insights as to what it takes. And now I just want to briefly show you, we're going to delve into this much deeper on a journey that I've prepared with lots and lots of love and care, and really putting in everything that I've learned in my life and everything that I've either learned scientifically, downloaded. If you've known me for longer than a month, you know that I'm the most I've done it all. I've been there, done it all. I've been a nutritionist, a personal trainer, psychologist. I've done international public health. I have more recently done a lot of the energetic practices. I'm a certified in pranic healing and access consciousness. Just to say that I've studied it all, neuro-linguistic programming, which I use a lot, by the way. I've done so much, not to boast about it, but because I think I've been able to really take bits and pieces of everything that I find that has worked for me and for my clients and bring it to you. Because I know it's really overwhelming when you try to do it from scratch and you try to take care of your health and you try to, fulfill all these different things. And the problem is we try to do it from the place of like I said, from that external place of number of goals outside of us. But in reality, it's not the external goals outside of us. It's how we want to feel internally. And when you bring it back to yourself as like the protagonist of your own life, and when you really, really align with your true desire, you awaken that magnet that attracts everything that you want into your life. And so In Love with Life is precisely this journey about not waiting for you to get all the things that you think you need to fall in love with your life, but doing the opposite, the reverse mechanism. It's you falling in love with life first before you get all the things that you want, and allowing for those things to float into your life. That's something really important to remember also, is that I don't know if all of you, I'm sure, have been in love, right? You know that feeling of like you're in love, right? It's like that butterflies in your stomach and that excitement. That's precisely the feeling that I really want each and every one of you to experience on a daily basis. And it is possible, because guess what? It's not about, when you were in love, it wasn't about the guy or girl. We really misinterpret what love is. Love is a chemical state that we're in. The person triggers for you to be in that state, but that being in love sensation is yours to own. And I encourage us to be in love all the time, because it's the best feeling and it's the most empowering feeling, and it's also the healthiest for us. And so I'm not going to go over this. I can share this link with you, but I just want to go over very briefly the methodology that we're going to walk through in this journey, starting, I don't even know when I said it. I think I said it for February 12th. It would be a weekly, yes, there it is, 90-minute group sessions with me during 6 weeks. And we're going to look at 6 different topics. Actually, let's start with that. The 6 different topics are going to be these. So the first week, we'll talk about pleasure as our guide back to our original design. So we're going to talk about how, everything we've talked about now, but also how in practical terms, we can regain our ability to feel pleasure at all times, and how we can reconnect with our blueprint to live an orgasmic life. Then we're going to move, we can't get away from healthy eating, because if we're full of foods that are polluting our body, what happens is those pollutants and toxins, they interfere with our ability to feel pleasure. They interfere with our ability to connect to our intuition. So Nutrition Gone Wild, the second week, is all about really reconnecting with the foods that reawaken your senses, reawaken your health, and invigorate your digestion. And it's not just about food, it's also about information we consume. So that's going to be a really interesting week to like really set the foundation of the energy that you consume, right? Third week will be about stress and how like quote unquote negative emotions and stress could be used to our advantage. So instead of allowing stress to, you know, get you further and further into, like I said, stress is a terrible thing, and it's the #1 cause for inflammation, all these allergies and all these diseases that are happening in our world. You know, research shows that 50% of health problems could be pretty much, you know, done away with if we were able to control our stress. And emotions obviously contribute to that. So there are lots of techniques, from breathing to they're called bandhas, basically body contractions, exercises where you can move the energy in your body to not only release stress, but also activate your, you know, the feel-good energy, your kundalini energy. And also, the way stress works is, like I said, we can really trick our body almost to get out of states of stress and into relaxation. And that, if we know what causes stress, we can easily do that. We can easily transform all of the 5 different senses that put us into stress states to get us out of the stress states. And I'm going to teach you those things during week 3. Week 4 is about movement. And I'm not talking about the gym. I told you I don't like the gym, even though gyms are, I used to be a personal trainer, so I don't, you know, if you like it, great. But there's millions of other ways to move. One of my recent clients, she just texted me saying how incredibly grateful she was because she gained a lot of weight and she was unable to lose the weight because she hated the gym. And for years, she was stuck in this hate and I can't do it and this is not for me. And we went over and we realized that, you know, her self-expression was about moving with music, dance. And so she discovered this modality with my help that it really has transformed her life. So now she started losing weight, she's feeling incredible, she's feeling good about herself. And this is after like years of trying everything, because we incorporated that pleasure element into what she needed to do to get into the body that she wants. Week 5 is probably the most exciting one. It's about activating our sexual energy source. This is a really big thing for me because I think that, you know, healthy living, well-being, even manifesting our life, like we forget about sexuality, or, you know, we place it in this taboo category, like, oh, there's the sexuality and there are the other things. And either it's extremely like taboo and, you know, it's like the, what do they call it? The pornography, that's the only way to reconnect with it, or it's in a public health realm where it's about STDs and danger. There's no way to really learn about this powerful healing modality which can transform your life. And sex doesn't just happen. The same thing we learn about movement and nutrition, we can learn about sexuality, and not just sex, so interaction between you and someone else, but sexuality as your own energy. In the Chinese medicine, in the, you know, Taoist tradition, sexual energy is one and the same as our vital energy. It's the source of energy that sits in our 2nd chakra, and if it's stagnated, which it is for most of us, it causes lots of blockages, stagnations, it reduces our vital energy, it causes disease. So activating your sexual energy is not just about sex. Yes, it will make your sex life much better, but first and foremost, it will make you feel alive, healthier, because you'll feel your energy flowing. And it's a real thing. It's not just some kind of a, you know, woo thing that we talk about. It's not kundalini, whatever. It's an actual movement of energy that I promise you will feel if you allow yourself to be guided, you know, through these exercises that, again, are inner body movement. Just like we can train our muscles externally, there are lots of muscles internally that we not only can, but we should train in order to create the tonus and the movement in our body it's like we're very flaccid on the inside. So I will teach you how to take care of our inner musculature that will activate the energy. There's breathing, there's also visualization, there's lots and lots of knowledge in this chapter. And the last chapter is about, or the last week is about being healthy to be yourself. This is also going to be about the power of sleep, the power of adventure and vacation, the importance of disconnecting, and putting it all together, right? So understanding that when you are really able to just disconnect from your phone, sit in one place, disconnect from all the electronics, and stop seeing yourself as someone that has to accomplish this goal, that goal, and then you finally feel like fully comfortable and one with yourself. That's when you know that you got it. You bring all of the different these things that actually suck the energy out of you, these external goals, they suck the energy out of you because you're always like missing something. You bring them back into yourself and you work with them to transform yourself from within, right? And this whole connection between, like I said, between being healthy and being, energized so that you can move through life without any hindrances, without any blocks, without anything stopping you to reach your authentic self, to reach your goals, right? So it's one and the same. Like we activate our body and health, not to just be healthy, which is great in and of itself, but to really live our dream life. So that's what the 7 weeks are about, and it's really focused on this the sensefulness method that I created to really help all of us to to really live the life that we dream of, but from a place of really discovering what that life would look like, because sometimes we think we know, but we don't, and really breaking it down so that you're living on a daily basis, you're living that dream. You're not just waiting for that goal, but you're actually living your dream life on a daily basis. Think about, if there are any entrepreneurs here or business owners, like if you have a business, you create your business plan, you have your strategy. If you don't break it down into the action plan, you will never get there, right? So it's the same thing about our life plan. Like we have a vision, we have a goal, but if we don't break it down, we'll never get there. And don't forget, the most important is enjoying the journey in the process. So, I'm sorry, I got a little. So if this resonates with you, I'm going to send this link and I'm going to share it later with you too. In the, where are we here? In the chat. And then I will also on social media channels, I will share the link. If you sign up within the next 2 weeks, I'm giving a 35% discount, and all you need to do is put the code, it's called In Love. I will share all this information once my window loads. I don't know why it's being slow. This is the first journey I'm doing in a long time, because I've started, kind of following my own principles again. I was, in Rio, I had In-Body Wellness fully working, and then the pandemic kind of closed down all of my, physical premises. So I had to stop for a while, and then I moved to Miami and I had to accept a regular job. But 2 years down the line, now I'm ready to start working with what I love the most, which is helping people live their life to the fullest and feel vitality, pleasure, and be in love with their life. So that's pretty much it. I really hope that you enjoyed listening to this webinar. You got some tips as to how to transform the resolutions that you have maybe already set out, or maybe you haven't. If you want to ask some questions, feel free to send a message. We will also have, it's not just this journey. I've started doing one-on-one sessions again. I also have online courses that are fully filmed and you can follow them on your own time whenever you'd like. So there are a lot of different options to fall back in love with your life and create the dream life that you've always desired. Thanks to all of you that were here, sending you lots of love, and I hope to see you on this journey very soon. Big hug.